We come in peace.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 offers a rare thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a satisfying ending to a trilogy. While the Guardians series will probably continue on in some fashion, writer-director James Gunn ties up this iteration of the team with the same humor and heart as the first two, but this time adds in an unexpected darkness in the form of Rocket's genuinely disturbing origin story. It's what makes this somewhat busy but mostly lovable threequel such an emotionally rich comic book movie.
I'm done running.
What's up, everybody? My name is Joshua Yehl, and this is my review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
We were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its guardians.
A lot has happened with the Guardians since Volume 2 was released in 2017. The original Gamora died, a past version of Gamora survived, and Peter Quill and Mantis learned that they're brother and sister. I think they abducted Kevin Bacon somewhere in there too.
You're coming with us as a Christmas present.
Yet Gunn deftly turns that tangled ball of MCU lore threads into a devilishly fun yarn. This film has all the silly dialogue and gags you'd expect, but there's a far more dramatic tone to it, which is a welcome change after the second movie had the characters breathlessly laughing at their own jokes.
That is called a practical joke.
It turns out there was a good reason Rocket never shared much about his past. He was created by a power-mad super scientist known as the High Evolutionary and was subjected to horrific abuse. And it's through a series of harrowing flashbacks that we come to a whole new understanding of Rocket. And the ever-excellent Bradley Cooper peels back the layers of this gruff raccoon with a tender performance. You will cry.
Lila, and Teefs, and Fleur, and me. Rocket.
The method used to show us the flashbacks isn't the most original, especially if you watched the Book of Boba Fett last year, plus it takes Rocket out of the action for far too long. Still, it cannot be overstated how impressive it is that James Gunn has done such a great job bringing Rocket to life that he can be the emotional linchpin of an entire movie, and it works so well.
Earth would be a fabulous place were it not for the ignorance and bigotry.
The High Evolutionary is played with maniacal fervor by Chakudi Iwuji, who delivers his perverted philosophy on perfection with an ice-cold cruelty.
I'm not trying to conquer the universe. I'm perfecting it.
He is the worst. And he's easy to hate because he's essentially animal cruelty personified. While his motivation and worldview are certainly something new to the MCU, his high-tech purple armor and blue energy powers have him looking a tad too much like Kang the Conqueror, another power-mad bad guy we just saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The High Evolutionary is an especially effective villain during the flashbacks because we learn about his misguided search for perfection and watch him inflict his twisted science on Rocket. But he feels far less threatening in the present, largely because the stakes never reach a truly dangerous level.
And now, gravity itself serves my whim.
One major aspect where Guardians 3 sets itself apart from Quantumania is the visual effects, which are vivid and spectacular. From the fleshy and slimy organic space station to the horrific cyborg animal henchmen. Everything feels crunchy and gross and real, especially during a jaw-dropping, all-in-one-take hallway fight for the ages. On the flip side, the rendering of young Rocket and his animal friends is top-notch, a perfect blend of cartoonishness and realism, and honestly, more big sad eyes than I can handle.
That's a pretty name, Lila.
Thank you.
The High Evolutionary's unique brand of evil offers juicy themes of control and expectation that complement the Guardian story as well, particularly that of Peter Quill and Gamora.
We used to be in love. Yeah, she was my girlfriend, only she doesn't remember it because it wasn't her.
Quill obviously is still in love with Gamora, but that Gamora died, and he's left with a past version of Gamora who's now there in the present, who never had those feelings for him.
There's a possibility.
I don't think so, Quinn.
Quill.
And Quill, to a certain extent, tries to exert control over her and tries to make her feel the way that she did before, even though that's just not in the cards. It's a hard lesson for him to learn. And actually, that same idea of expecting things from people finds itself in the other Guardians as well, because, you know, in the first movie, they found each other as a family. In the second movie, they dealt with their family trauma. And in this movie, it's all about the expectations of what the family wants from each other. And those expectations sometimes are not met, sometimes they are exceeded, and sometimes you just need to adjust them.
You want me to drive?
No.
I'll drive.
Figure out how to put it in backwards.
There's a hard lesson to be learned about trying to make someone the person you want them to be as opposed to who they really are, regardless of what came before. This version of Gamora is far closer to the ruthless assassin raised by Thanos than the heroic warrior who originally joined the Guardians.
That girl died, and then came back a total dick.
It was an unexpected joy watching Zoe Saldana act with such rage and brutality, not to mention a scathing impatience towards Quill. For his part, Chris Pratt takes that abuse with his typical schmucky earnestness.
Knock it off!
What?
The rest of the Guardians put up a strong showing, and scenes where the entire group gets to play off one another are the best Volume 3 has to offer. We've watched them grow into a family over the years, and it's a treat to bask in their chemistry one more time.
You were right.
Karen Gillan's Nebula is the standout among the group as she takes a more prominent role and has a new robot arm capable of doing all sorts of cool stuff.
On the ground!
Though naturally, there are a few quibbles to be had. Drax and Mantis each get their moment to shine, but by this point their oblivious idiocy has long since been overmined for laughs. Groot is, as always, there to say his 3 favorite words and kick ass. And with his formidable new physique, he does just that. Yet, considering this is a movie about Rocket's past, it's disappointing we didn't learn anything about the beginnings of their friendship.
I am Groot.
I know who you are already!
Then there's Adam Warlock, who, for me, is by far the biggest surprise in that he plays such a shockingly small role. With the way he was teased at the end of the last Guardians movie, one might think he would be the main big bad, but the High Evolutionary is very much the central antagonist, and Warlock is pretty much just his lackey. And in what is a very big departure from the comics, Warlock is essentially a child in the body of Superman, kind of like Marvel's version of Shazam. And while the MCU has had great success in translating things from the page to the screen in really fun and inventive ways that really improve the character and add new dimension and life to them, this is not a case of that. I know a lot of people were upset with, for example, the Mandarin not being who he was in the comics. I actually quite enjoyed that and thought it was a fun twist that really worked. And then we got a new Mandarin somewhere down the line.
I am the Mandarin!
Now I have an appreciation for those people who were upset about the Mandarin, because this is not my Adam Warlock. I don't really like how he's supposed to be this wise cosmic sage being, but he's just another space idiot. We already have enough space idiots on the Guardians. It would have been great to have someone who actually maybe understood sarcasm, knew what they were talking about. So Adam Warlock definitely did not do it for me in this movie, but your mileage may vary. With a large central cast and many supporting players, along with an always escalating sense of peril, the plot tends to have one too many things going on at any given moment, but the core focus around Rocket's trauma is rock solid and acts as an emotional anchor to keep it on track. Ultimately, Guardians 3 finishes the story that began in 2014 and delivers well-earned answers and closure for this family of misfits. There's a sophistication to Gunn's storytelling that's completely singular to the Guardians movies, where humor, heart, and song intertwine. That's on full display throughout the film, and it's a delight to enjoy one last time before he puts on a red cape and flies over to DC Studios.
Someday, I'm gonna make great machines that fly. And me and my friends are gonna go flying together into the forever and beautiful sky.
So to wrap this up, the Guardians of the Galaxy deliver their swan song in Volume 3, and it is a rockin' good time. Through Rocket's tragic origin story, we're given a new appreciation for this whole family of lovable malcontents. And even though the plot has a bit too much going on and some of the humor feels stale, and for me, Adam Warlock was woefully underused, the cast's incredible chemistry and James Gunn's soulful style remain unlike anything else in the MCU. And this movie sends them out on an emotional and action-packed high note, which is why I'm giving this film an 8 out of 10.
You left out some important information, but that is the gist of it.
Thanks for watching. For more reviews, check out what we thought of Sisu and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.